Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Voices of the Vic podcast with tonight myself, Joe Thomas, and I am joined by the entire podcast team this evening. We're all on. We're doing a special due to our fantastic 2-0 win today at the Vic over the Scum, which obviously was a fantastic afternoon for us all. Ben and Cam, you were both there. First of all, Cam, how are you, and did you enjoy the afternoon at the Vic?
Yeah, I couldn't be much better right now. I'm sure you will feel the same way. And yes, I did enjoy the afternoon at the Vic. You know, big thing I was looking forward to today, something we've lacked at the Vic for a while. Regardless of the result, there was going to be an atmosphere at Vicarage Road today. And it's not something you get very often, so it's always something to look forward to. And we got that atmosphere, and that always makes for a fantastic day. And yeah, the result certainly helped as well. But yeah, I'm good. How about yourself, Joe?
Yeah, obviously I wasn't there, unfortunately, today, which I'm still really gutted about. It's two home game against the Scummers now that I've had to miss due to having the kids. I never usually like to swap my weekends through having them. So yeah, I've made that sacrifice again, but I watched all of the game on TV and it was thoroughly enjoyable. Ben, how was the game from the Rookery, from your seat? It looked brilliant from all the videos and photos that we've seen.
Oh, it was brilliant, mate. These are what you go to football games for. The electric atmosphere, the players turning up, giving it back to you. And it was just electric from the first moment the ref blew his whistle. And like Cam says, it's not been great at Vicarage Road for atmosphere. And I think the last decent atmosphere was against them lot up the M1 when I came to town about 2 years ago. But you know what? When the backs are up against the wall for Watford fans, you kind of come together and just know, okay, our form's awful. The last 5 games at home we've lost, but we need to be that 12th man today. And fair play to everyone that set foot inside Vicarage Road today, because we delivered. And I strongly believe that last 20 minutes or so, it could have gone either way, really. But I think we kind of spurred them on. But yeah, it's a great Sunday evening, isn't it? And like Paul Whittenbury says here, full house from us tonight with the Glory Hunters. But yeah, looks like we'll be in the Championship next season when Luton Town will be heading to, what's that, League One? Matty Bloomfield should have stayed up with Wickham.
Yeah, it's looking a bit bleak for them, isn't it? And it's looking like he probably should have stayed at Wickham. But yeah, Mike. Obviously, you're watching the game on TV. How are you, mate? Did you enjoy the game?
Yeah, it was brilliant. When Cam was on about a minute ago, what's been lacking at the Vic, I thought he just meant a home win, to be honest, let alone the atmosphere. But no, do you know what? Watching on the TV, I was in Birmingham last night, and I thought I'll make the decision to wake up early and then drive back to Lincoln. It takes me about an hour and a half, and I had a few drinks last night, so I was like hoping I wasn't feeling a bit worse for wear this morning, but luckily I wasn't, and I made it back. I think I got back at 11, and then from 11 then I was just nerves were through the roof. And as soon as I switched the TV on, you could tell that the atmosphere was just electric. And I think everyone got the memo. I think a lot of people said at the start of the game, we have to make sure that the energy from the fans is supporting the team. If you pot two in or you pot two out, that's absolutely fine. But I didn't hear, I mean, Cam and Ben might tell me different, but I didn't hear a single thing towards Gino today. It was all directed at supporting the team. And the best bit was the Luton gets battered. That's the first time I've seen the Surrounding John stand up and get involved with the chanting as well. Yeah. And it was absolutely superb. So a really, really special day. And I'm just glad we had a good first half, because that second half was a tough watch. But again, we showed signs of what we saw against Middlesbrough and was really professional and ground out the win. So, yeah, an amazing day, mate. Really, really good. And yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing, over the moon.
Well, you mentioned just a quick point on us and lacking in home wins. I did read something earlier following the 2-0 win today, is that we are third in the amount of home wins this season in the Championship. Leeds top with 14, Sheffield United 12, and then Watford 10. So even though we've lost 5 on the bounce, we've somehow still managed to win 10 games at home this season, which is pretty incredible. And finally, Caity, I know you were watching on the TV as well. Did you enjoy the game? And I'm sure you're buzzing like the rest of us.
Yeah, it was good. Sorry if you can hear hoovering in the background, but yeah, it was good. I was obviously really disappointed to not go. I just couldn't get down when it's on the Sundays because you got to get back for Monday, and it's just such a faff. And also, my dad has been away this week, so wouldn't have been able to go. But yeah, I watched it in the living room by myself. Was clapping along, chanting at home. But yeah, it was really good. I mean, I was nervous. I really thought we were going to lose it just because I thought it would be so ironic for us to lose. But we came out, played really, really well. So, I was, really happy.
Yeah, I think the most pleasing thing today was that it was just such a strong start from us. We've been lacking with that quite a bit, I think, this season. And obviously, with Luton struggling so much at the moment and sitting bottom of the league, there was always that seed of doubt where you just think, could they kickstart that run and start putting some wins together? But thankfully, they didn't. Just talking, obviously, of the starting 11 to begin with. Jeremy Ngakia came in today, Cam, for Ryan Andrews. Were you pleased with that change specifically for the starting 11 today?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it made sense. It's always a toss-up who's going to play it right back for us. And listen, we all know I'm not Ryan Andrews' biggest fan. And I think having sort of that excellent 1v1 defender in Jeremy Ngakia, it was going to help us massively, because Luton's key asset, we all knew going into this game, was Alfie Doughty. And I'd want our best possible defender to go up against him. Now, I thought it was going to be a Banquer playing it right back, just for his pace, but it was Ngakia, and he did a fantastic job today, I thought.
Yeah, I thought he played really well as well. We'll talk more about him in a moment. Ben, obviously, we kind of mentioned, I know you and Mike spoke about Matty Pollock last week and whether he would start today. Were you surprised and shocked to see him not in the starting 11 today when the team sheet came out?
Yeah, we was discussing it, and me and Mike both wanted to see Kevin and Banquer to continue after their performance away at Middlesbrough. But I think both of us actually felt that we didn't think Tom would actually do that. We thought that he would bring back the reliable Matty Pollock. But how could you not drop either one of the Banquer and Kevin, because they were immense last week and they give us that pace at the back, which Matty doesn't, and that's what we kind of needed again today. It was the physical strength and the pace at the back, and I thought they was both superb again today. And it's a bold call from Tom Cleverley, but plaudits to Tom, because he got his team selection and tactics spot on today.
Yeah, he did. And do you think, Mike, that could mean, like, moving forward, that we might see Matty Pollock out of the side if, obviously we'll talk about the injuries later, but if Caben and Abanka are both fit, Pollock to have a spell out of the team now?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, I actually think Caben looked quite knackered today, and I think that was quite telling at times. I think... Did someone say he had something bandaged up? It might have only been his wrist, to be fair.
He had his leg bandaged up.
Oh, yeah, his knee was like heavily bandaged with like ice at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So there you go. You know, he was obviously playing through an injury. There was something quite there, because he still did well, but not as well as we maybe saw him against Middlesbrough, and then he was someone that certainly caught the eye for me. Funnily enough, against Leeds as well in the dying embers. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting one, and it's a really, really good headache to have, and that's why Tommy's paid the so-called big bucks to make these decisions. But it probably wouldn't have helped his cause today. Maybe Matty Pollock coming on and within 5-10 minutes getting a yellow card. He struggled a little bit to come on, but when you're coming into a game that's as fierce as a rivalry, it's going to take you a few minutes to sort of find your feet a little bit. But yeah, it's so good to be blessed with these decisions. And like me and Ben were saying on the last pod, for the first time in a long time, we are blessed with having multiple options that are good enough to play at the back. But yeah, I'm glad that he stuck with what he knew. I know, obviously, Caity was a bit surprised to see Pollock on the bench, and a few other Watford fans sort of thought this would have been perfect game for him to not only start, but to wear the armband as well. But I quite like that from Tom. He stuck with what we knew. It got us a clean sheet against Middlesbrough, and it got us a clean sheet today. And yeah, very good problem to have going forward. But yeah, Pollock could be in for a bit of a rough ride. But like you say, it depends on the injuries after today, doesn't it? So
yeah, and Caity, Tom Ince got a start ahead of, I say ahead, obviously, Musa Sissoko was injured. Were you surprised to see Tom Ince starting, or is there anyone else that you would have preferred to start over him today?
I wasn't necessarily surprised, because I think with Sissoko out, it was the next thing to happen, because that's what Tom's done in the past. Honestly, I'll give him credit, because I actually think he was okay. He didn't do anything that I thought, oh God, I actually think he had quite a good game. It's not something that I would necessarily want as an option going forward if we were thinking for next season. If Sissoko's not there, I do think that we need an upgrade in that position. But for today, I think he did a really good job, and I have no complaints about him.
Yeah, I agree. We'll talk more about him in a little while, but I thought he did well today. Talking of the team then, Cam, Selvik started in goal today. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk the last couple of days. Batman's not far away from coming back from injury now. Tom says he's probably going to be back within the next couple of weeks. He's obviously previously said that he's his number one. But obviously, Selvik's come in since then, and he's obviously got a man of the match in his on his debut award and 2 back-to-back now clean sheets. I've got to probably say that Batman will probably be coming back to the bench when he comes back. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't think that there's any danger of us having to watch Daniel Bachmann play for us anytime soon. Unless anything untimely happens to Egil Selvik, then that is unfortunately going to be the only option. But look, Selvik today, you've only got to look at our performance, and I know it hurts too, but you've got to look at our performance away at Luton back in October just to see how good Selvik was today. He didn't have loads and loads of saves to make because, I mean, Luton were pretty blunt in front of goal, to be frank. But what he did well, obviously, we knew set pieces were going to be a big factor today. We know we have problems defending them, and we know, obviously, they've got Alfie Doughty, and he's a bit of a set piece specialist, as well as they got a few big guys in there. But I thought Selvik was a big piece of us dealing with all of those set pieces. There were a lot that he sort of threw himself at the ball for. He had a lot of good punches, a lot of good high claims. And there was one moment where he sort of went down with a head injury after punching the ball away. But when he saw that we'd got on the ball, he tried to get back up and get us playing again. Now, the ref didn't let that happen, but I think it's a big difference between the mentality of him and the mentality of Daniel Bachmann, where Bachmann probably would have stayed on the floor there. Just another thing about Selvik's game I want to touch on. You wouldn't necessarily consider a goalkeeper to be a dangerous threat to the opposition defenders, but those long balls that Egil Selvik was playing, they caused all kinds of trouble for that Luton defence. And combined with Mamadou Doumbia, who we'll talk about later, but he showed great determination to get on the end of those long balls. It was a really good sort of pairing, the long balls and the energetic striker, and Luton just did not have an answer for it. So really, really strong performance from Selvik today. And as Matt has just said, I feel more confident in goal with Selvik. Defenders seem to feel more confident. I think that is just such a huge factor. The defenders feel more confident with him there. Just a great start to his Watford career.
Yeah, I agree. And Mike, how pleasing is it like to have someone with such a calming presence in goal now? And obviously us as fans probably feel more reassured with someone that good and someone that's that confident in coming out to, like Cam said, he was great with punching the ball today. He's got a good, strong punch in getting the ball out. Obviously, he didn't have anything really to do save-wise until the end of the game where he was called into action with that late save that he made. But yeah, he's doing everything right at the moment, isn't he?
Absolutely. And that's the good measure of a keeper, is one that is barely tested the whole game. And then when he's called into action, he's still switched on. So he's able to make the saves like he did in the last sort of few minutes of the game today. Because, I've not seen a replay of it, but I bet if you watched it back, a lot of people would appreciate just how good of a save it was. I mean, at the time when I saw the save, I thought, bloody hell, that is a good save. But, if you watch it back, that is a huge save, because anything could happen then. I think that was before the 90th minute, and then there was 6-7 minutes added on. So, with how Watford play and how twitchy a few of the players were looking, that could have really been anything. But as Cam said, and I tweeted this as well, it's probably set quite a low bar with watching what we've seen from Bachmann over the recent years. But just to have a goalkeeper that punches these corners coming in today, not afraid to go and claim it. He clashed heads. That head injury when he went down, I don't know if Cam knew this because he saw it in real time, but he clashed heads with one of the Luton players. Now that would have hurt. That would have stung. I could bet your bottom dollar, if that was Bachmann, he'd have been rolling around on the floor and he'd have just been looking for winning the free kick straight away. Yes, he would have got it, but as Cam said, Selvik wanted to carry on, and luckily the referee spotted it and pulled it back. But it's just, it starts from the back, doesn't it? The confidence does. So that you can tell the defenders look much more assured in terms of, whenever we need to pass back to him. I don't sort of wince now when the ball goes back to him. And he's not afraid to try and play out from the back either. Sometimes with Bachmann, the ball would go back to him and it would just be put your foot through it and then it comes back to you because we can't hold the ball up. We've got that option now with Doumbia up top, who is able to win headers and bring the ball down, etc. But we've also got the option of, if the ball goes back to Selvik, before he can even think about sticking his foot through the ball and lumping it up the pitch, he's thinking, right, my left back's open, I'll ping it to him. Centre mid's open, I'll ping it to him. So very, very good goalkeeper. And I know at the time it wasn't one that was on our radar and a lot of fans' radars, but it's proving, along with a Banqua, to be a very, very good signing. So I'm very happy, and hopefully we see him in goal for Watford for many years to come, because he's only young and hopefully he'll only keep getting better as well.
Yeah, I agree. And Ben, the first bit of major action today was a through ball that was played to, I think it was Nordas, the Luton forward. I could be completely wrong there, but Jeremy Ngakia was the last man, and he obviously brought him down. It was a bit of a wild challenge early on. What was your thoughts on it? Obviously, you were there and behind the goal. Did you think that there was a chance he might get sent off, and do you think it was a red card, or do you think a yellow was the right decision?
I think you never know with EFL referees whether if they're going to give a straight red or a yellow card, but there was a covering man, so I kind of hoped, and then he was quite quick to get out his yellow card as well, so he didn't really give them a chance to kind of shout off. But yeah, it's I'd like to think that Jeremy Ngakia was very clever there and left one on the Luton player, and luckily Abankwah was the covering man, but it was. I kind of thought we started a little bit slow, if I'm honest, today. I thought that first 5 minutes we was a little bit slow. We allowed Luton on top of the ball and they were pinging it about and we was getting deep. We gave away like a foul on the edge of our box and I think they won a corner. But after that, we've just got our foot on the ball and we played our game and we didn't allow Luton to bully us. There was no physicality from Luton today. If anything, we was matching them and we was giving it more back to them. So it was a interesting first 5-10 minutes. We weathered the storm, if you can call it a storm, from Luton, but it was we turned it around quite quickly into Watford pressure and knocked onto the doors. And I imagine next year we're going to be talking about is that penalty, Joe.
Yeah, I mean the penalty was a weird one for me because I don't know. I've watched it so many times now, and I there's still part of me that still doesn't think it was a penalty. I've watched it, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's such a, when a keeper comes out for when a forward's running through, you can immediately see. There's been a few in the Premier League and in the League Cup recently where they're just obvious. You can just see the keeper's going to get to the ball after the forward, and you're like, yeah, that's a stonewall penalty. But this one today, my immediate reaction when he first give it, I was like, that just didn't look like a penalty. It just looked like Doumbia put his leg in, and he just got caught and went down. I didn't think Kaminsky actually committed a foul as such. Mike, I mean, you're going to say something. What do you think?
Yeah, sorry. I think, for starters, you've only got to look at every penalty that Jamie Vardy has ever won against us to talk about the blatantly obvious ones. It's usually against Ben Foster as well. But I think what helped Doumbia's course is the hesitation. The fact that their guy, was it Mads? I can't.
Was it that Anderson? Mads
Anderson, yeah. He was trying to sort of hold off Doumbia, and then there was that hesitation. Kaminsky obviously didn't come quick enough off his line, and that hesitation from the both of them, and the fact that he didn't cleanly gather the ball, because when he tried to win the ball, I think it just got away from him, and he had to sort of grasp it on his second attempt, and I think that for me was enough to spin that decision. But obviously, we the majority of us are going to sit on here and say that we think it was a penalty. We'd probably feel hard done by if it was given against us, but you see him given. You could flip it on its head and say is it Isaiah Jones, the one he ran down on the byline? I've seen them given. How many times has Barr done similar to that in that exact area as well, and won penalties? So, yeah, I think it was a penalty, and I think Luton deep down probably know that it was a penalty, and I think they're kicking themselves that they give it away, because from what I've read of the post-match interviews, Matt Bloomfield didn't say much about the fact that he didn't think it was a penalty. He just said it was a poor penalty to give away. So usually, with it being a derby, if it was that much of a contentious decision, he would have said a lot more about it. But yeah, I think it was just what we needed, because as Ben said, I think Luton started the game quite aggressive in our face, and it took us a while to sort of get ticking, and that penalty was the perfect way to kick things off for us.
I think the main thing about that as well for me, sorry Joe, is Doumbia gave a referee a decision to make there. Vacuum Bio wouldn't have chased that ball down. And this is what's so good about Doumbia, and it's the same with his penalty that he won away at Sunderland. It's the willingness and desire to try and get on the end of balls that everyone else feels like it's a lost cause. He's ran after that, And whether he was fouled or not, he made the referee to make a decision there, and he's won us a penalty. And if I was totally honest, when Bar got injured, I didn't think we'd see us win another penalty for the rest of the season. But Dumbia's now nicked in there ahead of a defender and a goalkeeper twice and won us 2 penalties, and it hasn't gone unnoticed, and it's fair play to him.
Yeah, I agree. And like you say, like I always say this to the person I go into football, is like, you put yourself in that position, you're always going to give the referee something to think about. And obviously the referees had a decision to make, and obviously it went our way. But at the same time, like I say, I wouldn't have been too shocked if it wasn't given. However, I'm delighted it was. Caity, a lot of the play in the first half went down that left side today. I don't know about you, but I actually thought Yasser Larouci looked really good today and got in some good areas and looked a lot more comfortable on the ball than he has done in previous weeks. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I was shocked to sort of see him come off at halftime, I think, because I thought he was having a much better game. I wasn't even looking, and then when I saw that Andrews came on, I didn't automatically think, oh, Larouci should have gone off. So I had to go on my phone and like check who actually went off for him, because I didn't know. But yeah, I thought he had a much better game. I think we're starting to see sometimes he can be quite hit and miss. I think, we've come on here, especially in recent games, but he's actually been all right. And then sometimes, he has those games where he's a bit funny. But I definitely say today was one of his better games. And I think he should have carried on playing, because he was really bringing that threat in the game.
Yeah, and his link-up play with Chak today I thought was fantastic as well. We'll obviously just talk a little bit about the second goal. Obviously, Caity, what did you... it was great to see Chak comfortable with the ball again at his feet. And actually, he was rewarded with some great play and obviously a good ball put across the box for Kayembe to poke it in at the back post.
Yeah, it was a really, really good goal. I mean, the run from Chak, I've sat on here, I've said stuff about him in the last couple months, and I've said, he's not been good enough. But today, he was excellent. He's been excellent for the last couple games. That run by himself, and then I know we've criticised his decision making, but the decision making was actually really good in that moment, and he's been rewarded with a goal. I honestly thought he might have even shot at one point, but he did the cross and he got the goal. And Edo, I thought he had a good game as well, especially in that sort of attacking momentum. So I was really pleased, and it just sort of summed up the game. I thought when we were 2-0 up, I was like, oh god, it's going to be like a drubbing. It's going to be like 4-5. Obviously, it wasn't, but it was still really, really good. And those are the types of goals that you want to be getting, where you're getting them on the break, and they're proper team goals.
Yeah, one thing I said, it was great just to see, it's very rare these days that you see people queuing up at a back post for goals for us. So yeah, that was great. Cam, obviously we mentioned earlier on about Pollock not getting a start today, and it was a banker on Caben. We said in our chat during the game how good a banker looked today. How pleased were you with him, of how he's progressing and how comfortably he looks on the ball? There was obviously that bit in the first half where he picked up the ball and ran around, I think, 3 or 4 players and put a good pass out to Chak to drive forward. I mean, he looks really good with the ball at his feet, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I mean, it was more than one occasion as well where he was sort of dancing around Luton players. It's just not something you come to expect from a centre-back. But I suppose that's the world we live in. He looks like, and I don't mean any disrespect to Ryan Porteous here, but he looks like just a much better version of him, where he's that sort of, erratic, quite aggressive and willing to carry the ball, that kind of defender. But he just does it so much better than Ryan Porteous. And it's the pace as well. Tom Cleverley has talked all season about how he wants centre-backs with pace. And again, I mentioned comparing it to the previous Luton game. Adebayo and Morris ran us ragged at Kenilworth Road. And that wasn't just because they're physical and they win battles. It's because they ran in behind as well. And we had no answer for it. But today, between a banker and Caben, they kept Morris just completely quiet, which is something I never thought we'd be able to do. So yeah, really, really impressed with him, and I hope that injury isn't bad, because we're going to need him for the much more favourable run of games that we've got coming up.
Yeah, and just a quick mention on Caben also, Ben. Were you pleased with just how comfortably he looks in this side? Obviously, he's only played a couple of games now. Obviously, he did look a little bit tired as well in that second half before coming off. But up until that point, I thought he was solid.
He's adapted to English football incredibly well. You got to remember, he's came over from a different country. I don't know what his English is like, but he's obviously had to settle him away from his family, and he's taken to it like duck to water, hasn't he? He hasn't really put a foot wrong. I thought maybe 5 minutes before halftime he was getting a bit sluggish on the ball, and almost played us into danger a little bit, but recovered well. And the partnership between him and Abankwah, it's like they've got a really good understanding. And we're going back to Selvik again. It's the confidence that he's given the defenders, and that's why we're seeing the best out of Abankwah and Kevin, is because they've got a goalkeeper that wants to play football with them. I don't think we'd maybe see those two centre halves flourish as much if we had Daniel Batman behind them. But yeah, hopefully both injuries aren't too serious. I imagine Kevin's is maybe a little bit more worse than Abankwah's because of the heavy ice on his knee at the end of the game. But hopefully that's just precautionary. He obviously joined after the back of a knee injury and had a little bit of a surgery. So fingers crossed it's not too serious, because yeah, my God, the pace at the back is what Tom needed, and it's what we needed.
I'll tell you what, though, sorry to jump in. That injury didn't seem to stop him absolutely loving it at full time, because I don't know if you saw at home, he grabbed the flag from the rookery and he was dancing around with it, and he looked like he was absolutely loving himself. And that's a guy that's played about 3 games for us, been injured all season. Yeah. You know, he might not feel as involved in this, but he seems to have taken to it like a duck to water.
But everyone,
I don't know if you saw Cam as well at half time, and when the half time whistle went, Kevin went to the rookery and he was giving his arms up, sort of saying, "Come on, keep going." And I really like that about him. He's what? That's his 4th appearance for Watford, isn't it? It's like he gets it.
Yeah. It's such a great personality.
I just think he's great as well. Just, you know, how they're being with Tom at the end. Like, Tom's really like trying to like keep us grounded and just not get overexcited, but the players are really wanting us to kind of like sing his name and put him at the front, and just give him the praise that he deserves. And I'm just loving that togetherness that we've kind of got in the team at the moment. I think it's brilliant, and just what we need as well. It's the kind of togetherness that again, we don't want to get too excited and say it, but could we be the team that sneaks in the top 6? Could we be? But we'll see. We won't get into that. Actually, just one thing I do want to mention, that Mike, with all these centre backs that we've got, some person that we're just not actually seeing in the team or hearing anything of these days of Bonner.
Like, I know.
Is someone driving?
He's in retirement home, isn't he?
I was going to say, it's like, is someone driven him to the airport and he's left the country? I've just not heard anything of him for weeks. So I'm just wondering whether he's actually still part of Watford FC, or we're just going to see a strange thing from, I don't know, Nanny or someone in a couple of weeks going, "Oh yeah, by the way, we released him in November, but didn't want to say."
It's definitely a weird one, isn't it? Because when he was signed, he was perfect. The type of experience we needed. I remember Caity did the lowdown episode for that with a West Ham fan, and they were singing his praises like you wouldn't believe. And I'm not surprised they paid a lot of money for him. So yeah, it's really odd. And there was that spell, wasn't there? It was around the time of when we were playing Man City in the League Cup, where he was he got sort of a run of games under his belt. And I remember actually being with Cam on one of the podcasts, and we were sort of saying how good it is to have someone like that in the team, and how we hope that he can get a good run of games under his belt. And then all of a sudden, fast forward a few months, and he's not even in the matchday squad. So I'll be really intrigued to see what happens at the end of the season. Has he had a fallout? Is he just surplus to requirements? I don't know. But the fact that we're able to play other players ahead of him, as I alluded to earlier, shows what good a position we are in terms of the defenders we got at the club. So long may that continue, because let me tell you, it has been a long time coming for Watford fans to actually have a plethora of defenders that are good to choose from, and you're quite happy with. If they start, that's fine, because if they get injured, he can come on, etc., etc. So yeah, real odd one with Ogbonna. I don't know what's going on.
I think his last start was actually Luton away, wasn't it? That was the last start he made for Watford FC, wasn't it?
Well, he started the Fulham game in the Cup, didn't he? We were there for that. And
of course he did. Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic that day as well.
He was actually. Yeah, he was really good at the back. I completely forgot about that game.
I think Sissoko's on the highest wage, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. I
mean,
is he still injured? Because do you remember he had that injury and then he kind of never really got fit again? Is he still injured or is he back?
Well, he has come back, but like I say, the club, when they do the injuries and the team news and stuff before games, he's just never mentioned. So I just never know what's going on with him.
I think the main thing is that we don't really miss him or need him at the moment. Like the two centre halves that came in have absolutely bossed it. And Matty Pollock, who we was all talking about as potential player of the season, can't get a look in. He's not getting named in the derby day. So it's just credit to the two young centre halves that are bossing it at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. And Caity, Imran Loser, I literally love the man at the moment. I've loved the man for a long time and still love him, and will love him even more as the season goes on. It's great to see him as captain. It's great to see him playing well, and I think it's safe to say that, you know, we've got the old Imran Loser back, and he's just getting better and better each game, and he's just oozing class, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we sing his praise every week on these podcasts, where we're saying that if you had told us this would happen in the summer, and it's the same Loser that we were all saying, can't wait for him to leave, he's got a bad attitude, this, that, and now he's one of our best players, and I think for me, he's definitely probably going to be my player of the season. He's incredible, honestly. He improves every week in, week out. It's literally, you watch him and it's like watching someone playing at such a high level. His work ethic is crazy, and we spoke about it in our group chat today, but he actually captained the side today, and I'm not sure if he's ever had the captain's armband until today, or at least started with it. I'm not sure, but that's Tom showing that he trusts him on that level, and it's obvious that he's a big voice in the dressing room. I mean, you see his passion, I'm sure. I think he had a flag waving at full time as well. So that's really nice for us to see as fans. He obviously really cares about the club, and long may it continue.
Yeah, I agree. And Cam, he looks so good in possession, doesn't he? He just has, whenever he's got the ball at his feet, he just looks to drive the ball forward. He turns, he creates that bit of space for himself to play the right pass, and he's doing everything right, isn't he?
Yeah, always makes the right decisions. And obviously there's a lot of sort of faffing about with the ball at the back, but even when Imran's being pressed by one or two players, you're always confident that he's going to make the right choice. And the amount of times he sort of opened up the space for us, he got us forward, and he did a lot of fancy flicks as well that all seemed to come off. And my only criticism of him today is that he had a little half chance in the second half. I would have liked him to do a bit better there for the sake of my heart rate. And another thing is he sort of, you don't really recognize often that he has that sort of, that absolute bastard of a player side to him, where he does, the hard, nasty work off the ball. And I saw a neutral tweet that they don't think they've ever seen a player as hardworking as Imran Loser, and I think that does actually match up well with him, because the guy runs and runs and runs, and in that second half we really needed that hard work, that getting stuck in, and even if the foundations weren't really there to show what he can do on the ball in the second half, he really showed what he can do off it, and just yet another fantastic performance from him in what is an excellent season for him.
Yeah, and Ben, obviously with Loser playing so well and Tom Delibashiru coming back, it's great to see him flourishing and getting better, coming back from injury. Obviously, he struggled a little bit at first. I think he wasn't 100% fit coming back, but as he's getting more match fitness, he's looking better and better with Loser in that midfield, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I really like Tom Delibashiru. Like, centre midfield is probably my favourite position on a football pitch. I really admire the work rate, because you've got so much to do on a football pitch in that one position, and I just hats off to them. When Tom Deli went out injured earlier in the season, there was a Tom Delibashiru gap in that midfield, and we really missed him, because he was the only one that was really keeping the ball ticking over and maybe driving us forward along with Chakvedasi. But then you add Luzo into the mix, and I think he's upped his own game, Tom Deli, and they complement each other so well, and he's very composed over the penalty boxes, penalty spot as well with those penalties. He's the coolest man in the stadium and a perfect person to dispatch them. But I'm really enjoying seeing this Tom Deli flourish under the partnership of Imran Loser, because they just both want to receive the ball off each other, and they both take the balls in tight positions, and they're not scared to run away and hide behind the opposition, and they really do drive us up the pitch, and they're cool heads, and that's exactly what we need. And I think why Watford have improved massively since that Norwich game, I think it's massively down to the partnership and pairing of Tom Delibashiru and Imran Loser. We're starting to control the midfield, and if you speak to a Watford fan maybe 3 months ago, you'd be like, teams just run through us. Teams don't run through us now. We control football games, and we've picked up 7 points out of the last 4 games or so. We've got a good hard point away at Sunderland. We've beaten Luton, and then we've also beaten Middlesbrough away. Like, 7 points out of those games is a massive credit to Tom Cleverley, but that's down for me. It's down to controlling the football games. Like, even against Leeds United, okay, we got battered 4-0, but on the ball, we played really well. It's just we got caught on the break a few times. So I'm really liking the 4 at the back, and by playing 4 at the back, it's allowing Imran Loser and Tom Deli to actually control the football games. And I'm just excited for the next part of this season now, and see us really kick on, because we've got players coming back now. You wait till we got Quadro Bar back in this team as well, running onto the balls from Imran Loser and Tom Delibashiru. Like, we could seriously start cooking.
Yeah, that's it's a good point you make there, because obviously we thought when he went out injured, Quadro Bar, he actually said a bit of banter with the Portsmouth fans on Twitter, saying that he'd be at Fratton Park, so not to worry. So we kind of all thought that he'd probably be back sometime, maybe middle of April potentially, but he's actually going to be back in a couple of weeks, well, a few weeks, Tom thinks. So that's really pleasing, and I don't think he'll risk him at Oxford. Obviously, we've got an international break at the second to last weekend of March, so I would expect to potentially see him at Plymouth at home, as opposed to risking him if he's not 100% at Oxford. But yeah, we'll see there. But Mike, Edu Kayembe, obviously we've grilled him a little bit in recent weeks for some poor performances, but playing in that advanced role and a bit more forward on the pitch, he seems to look a lot more comfortable. He's actually playing really well in that position, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, because when you're playing further back, he's just too slow, takes too long to decide what to do with the ball, and then on other occasions, he does too much with the ball. So, yeah, thought he was good today. thought he complemented Doumbia when we were really operating that good press. And yeah, he often, when he's playing in that more advanced position, he often makes the right sort of passes as well, and passes forward for once, because too many times this season I've seen Kayembe either pass it sideways or backwards too many times for my liking. But yeah, really complements that that further forward position.
Can I just jump in on Edo, because I've got to have my say. Look, I mean, we all know, none of us here particularly rate him as a player, and yet he still seems to get picked every single week. And I think the reason for that is you can trust him to put the ball in the net. And I mean, you've got that player in Chakvetadze who, he's one of the best players in the league. We all know that, but he doesn't quite have, he doesn't have that killer instinct in front of goal. He's more of a creative player. And you need, thanks for that, Jess. Sometimes you need that player with that killer instinct that's going to get you that goal. So that's why Tom Cleverley relies on him so much. And actually, I've got a stat here. I read this from Vic Bate on Twitter, that this season from Kayembe is our highest scoring season from a midfielder since Alman Abdi in 2014-15. So, 10 years since we last had a midfielder score this many league goals. And I think, we all have our frustrations with him, but that's ultimately the reason why he's playing regularly for us.
8 goals is a great return, though, to be fair to Edo.
Yeah.
Very good. And don't knock him, because he might actually end up getting double figures this season, which means we'll have 2 players ending the season on double figures. And you're probably going to tell me that this happened only like 2 seasons ago, but when was the last time we had 2 players that finished on double figures? It was a while ago.
If I had to guess, I think
promotion season.
Did you say promotion as well, Cam?
No, I said did 2018-19, did Delafeu and Troy both hit 10, or was Troy just short?
Oh, that's a good point, actually.
No, I think Troy and Igalo would have both hit 10, right?
Yeah, they both.
Troy. That 14-15 season, I think Troy, Igalo, Abdi, and Vidger all hit.
That's ridiculous.
So yeah, I think we scored goals for fun that year.
I'm the same as Mark. I feel sick, Mark. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Just Caity, just talking more about Georgie Chakvetadze. Obviously, we just touched on him a bit earlier. Obviously, he got a lot of joy down the left today. It was probably, for me, I said put it down. I think it was potentially his best first half of the season today in terms of how he was playing. Bit more flat in the second half, but I think that was, I think the game kind of went that way. Unlucky not to score near the end, but yeah, it's brilliant to see him just playing so well. And obviously, I'll be honest, Cam, you'll know I've hammered him a little bit in our chat over the last few weeks, and
nonsense.
It's not that I don't believe that he's a good player. I still believe he's got the best footballing ability at the club at the moment. But there were just, when I look at stats and I look at things, and I think he's great and he does a lot of stuff for the team, I still think there's areas in which that he still needs to improve on. But Caity is still doesn't take away from the fact that he's just such a fantastic player, isn't he?
Yeah, of course. And like we've said before in recent times, that we think he's not doing enough, that his goal threat is not there, and like we've given him the stick, and I think some of it was deserved. But I have to say, since he had that sort of time, I can't remember when it was exactly, but he was playing he played like every game, and then he had like a little break where he was sort of dropped for a bit. He was able to because he just looked knackered all the time, and everyone was kind of expecting him to do everything. And he had that time out of the team for like a week or so, and then he came back. And ever since then, I honestly think he's been the best version of himself. I just think, I didn't necessarily see it in today's game. I keep saying yesterday, I mess up with the days. But I didn't necessarily see it in today's game. But I thought his goal threat was there. There were moments where I wasn't thinking, oh God, like why didn't you just shoot? Why did you do that? Why did you make that decision? Like I think that he, like you said, it was one of his best performances, and yeah, more in the first half. But I think just the second half, it was a very flat performance from everyone in the second half. I don't think everyone was sort of heads down a bit slightly, but yeah, you can see how much he carries this team forward, and especially in a game like today, you need someone like that. He was so fast. He was like getting past all the defenders. I mean, Luton were dreadful, but they did not contain his threat one bit, and I think that just shows how good he is as a player. And I really hope that his injury isn't serious. But I do think that because no one went off and went straight down the tunnel to get like treatment, and they were all on the pitch at full time. So I'm hoping that they're just knocks and they'll be all right.
Yeah, and you know what? I think I actually feel that he's had more shots in the last probably 2 or 3, 4 games than what he's had in the previous like 25 or however many it's been in total this season. He seems to be shooting a lot more. And I don't know whether Thomas just said, just have a go, just believe in yourself and believe that you've got the ability to score. And he seems to. Sorry, Mike, go on. You were going to say something.
Sorry, I think as well, let's not forget, I know obviously Chaka can be very, very frustrating at times, and we know the ability that he possesses, but let's not forget, his assist today was his 7th for the season. So there are stats to back up that he's an absolutely fucking phenomenal player for us. You know, I'd be a little bit more worried if he was maybe sat on early 1 or 2. I know we talked about Quadwo Bar before, about how it feels like he assists a lot more goals than he gets, because a lot of his are, you know, going down, winning penalties, and, you know, that doesn't actually class as an assist. But Chuck has the numbers there to back it up. So, yeah, the FIFA button stuff, yeah, that was a good meme from me. I was proud of that one. But yeah, he should have got a goal today. I was you know, gutted that didn't go in, but I think Luton commentary, I think it was Justin Daly, said that his all-round game might not be great, but he's one of the best shot-stopping goalkeepers in the league, on about Kaminsky. Where have we heard that before? But yeah, Chak is doing brilliantly, and Chak actually won the Watford's
Player of the match,
Twitter man of the match, which was man of the match all day long. But
oh, we lost you there. I think you cut out slightly, but I think you said he won the man of the match.
Yeah, I said he. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wicked! I said he won man of the match according to Watford Twitter. Watford put a tweet out, but I was just saying that I thought loser was man of the match by a country mile. So
yeah. And Ben, Tom Ince came in for Moussa Sissoko today. Obviously, we all had a bit of a chuckle at his shot towards the end of the game. He kind of saw gold and thought, I'm going to be a hero here and make it 3-0. And he kind of did his best to put it out and try and hit the corner flag over in the corner of the stand. But other than that, I thought he was brilliant today. And he kind of run his socks off and put in a bit of a solid performance. And we actually saw a couple of bursts of pace from him today as well, which I was really shocked about. How pleased were you with his overall performance today?
Delighted with it, because he's a perfect pro, isn't he? And he's a great leader and an example for pros to look at. And he just ran his socks off yesterday. He ran himself into the ground, and that's what you want from Tom Ince, especially when you've been out in the cold and you're not really getting the game times, but you're not throwing your toys out the pram. You're waiting to get that moment and that opportunity. And he came and he didn't let anyone down. And look, that Leeds game where he was running around in circles and where Leeds scored their goal, he would have been really disappointed with that. And he took a lot of stick that night. And he's probably been wanting to show the fans that he is good enough to still play at this level. And he put in a really good performance today. And that's also credit down to Tom as well. Tom's told Clever says came up to him and he's told him what to do today, and he kept Doherty quiet all game, and that's a difficult task to do because the amount of assists that Doherty can provide for Luton Town. But he was tremendous on and off the ball. His work rate was there, and that recovery run that he made in that second half when Luton were, I think there was 2 against 1 at one point, and his recovery run in to get the ball back and to take it out was absolutely incredible. And that's what you needed. And that was from a Watford corner. We was very complacent. We tried to pass it out, and it was really poor. And Luton hit us on the counter, but Tom Ince ran himself into the ground, got back, and he was like the last man to slide in to win the ball and hit it out for a throw in. And I thought he was incredible, and he won the man of the match. They announced at full time, and I just thought it was a very, very good performance from Tom Ince, and fair play to him because he's had to wait for his opportunity, and he took it with full hands today. And I don't know if you've watched the interview with Tom Ince at full time with Watford FC on their YouTube page, but he was very much praising Tom Cleverley and telling him that was basically for him, and that performance was for the fans, and it was, and it was a good afternoon at the Vic, and Tom Ince he deserves his plaudits.
Yeah, he does, and it gives a bit of a headache, Caity, doesn't it? Going into the Stoke game next week, obviously Sissoko was out for injury today. If he is back and he is fit, do you think Tom Ince will carry on in that position after his performance today, or do you think he'll bring Musa back as he's obviously captain within the side?
I don't know. I think it will probably depend on the fitness that Musa's at. It might be a way of doing sort of like 45 and 45 or bringing him on for 20 minutes at the end. I think he'll stick with Tom Ince. I mean, again, I think he had a good performance. It would be unfair to drop him just because Musa's fit enough. It's obviously seeming like Musa couldn't make the bench today, so maybe it's slightly more than what was given in the beginning. Like we thought that maybe he'd be back for today, but maybe he just needs a bit more time. Maybe he needs this week and he'll be fine for Stoke. For me, I'd probably go with Ince again and then maybe give Musa 20 minutes at the end. But it'll be interesting to see. I think there's a lot of decisions to make in and around the squad now in all positions. You know, like we've said, not bringing Pollock back in today, it was a risk. It worked. It wasn't a bad decision. But for me, it was like, Pollock, surely you must start for that. Like, you know, you're the club captain. You know, it's one of the games that as a player you really would want to play. So, you know, Tom's making decisions every time we play. So I think it will be up to him and up to the position that the squad are in. And one thing I want to say is that I'm really shocked that Vata's not getting a lot of looking at the moment. I don't know if that's just because he's still injured. Does anyone know if that's just why it is, or
just basing off the way he's played whenever he's come on? I think he's very much still quite unfit at the moment, and
yeah,
I
maybe
think as well with injuries that happened today, maybe change the trajectory of how Tom wanted to use his substitutions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that maybe played a part as well.
I don't think it was time for Vata to come on today, was it? I don't think it was the right time to bring him on, was it? Especially that last 20 minutes. I think Tom got his sub spot on, and I don't think bringing Vata on would have helped.
Yeah, I did actually have that point at the end. Actually, I was going to just make it just disappointing not seeing today, but like you say, with the way you said that, Ben, it probably wasn't the right time to bring him in and bring him on, especially with other injuries. You don't want to risk it if there's no need. But like Caity said, it's crazy that we're kind of in this position. Sissoko wasn't in the squad today, obviously for injury. Barr's not around at the moment. Vata's not starting, so we've got headaches all over the pitch when we've got a full squad at the moment and people are all back and playing well. But you know, one position, Cam, that obviously we were talking a lot about before the game today was with Bio back and ready to play from his suspension. Would he start ahead of Doumbia? we're all absolutely ecstatic that he didn't start with Bio, and that Doumbia got his start, and he was rewarded by winning that penalty. But it's just all round willingness to want to win the ball, and his pace, how good he is aerially, his enthusiasm, his link-up play, everything about him is positive. And like you mentioned in the chat, he's not far away from scoring a goal, is he?
Not at all, no. He seems to have just about everything to his game. First of all, he's a very tenacious striker. He certainly likes to battle in there, and every sort of long ball that goes forward from Selvik, because they're a lot more accurate than Backman's were. But Doumbia just seems to make the most of everything, and the ball almost glues to him, and he's able to lay it off, and just looks like a fantastic striker in that regard. And just looking at the second goal, obviously Chak gets most of the credit, but there's a wonderful takedown and then flick around the corner from Doumbia there, and that sort of he's had a massive hand in both goals today. Without actually getting himself a goal contribution, which, I've talked about strikers on here before where I don't like strikers that are sort of only goal scorers and they don't offer anything else, like Rajovic last season and Bio this season. I just don't think they're good for how you play, and Doumbia is showing that point is correct. I mean, he's having such a great impact on this team, and I really think we're playing some of our best stuff that we've played all season right now. And I think most of it is just down to what he's doing to this team. And yeah, that goal is definitely just around the corner. There are a number of times he broke into the box today and he got on the end of some crosses. So yeah, just needs maybe that bit of luck, maybe a more clear-cut chance. But it's coming, and I'm very pleased for him, and I'm very pleased that Tom Cleverley saw the sense to keep him in there today.
Yeah, and Ian said here, don't think Bo did enough when he came on to start as Stoke. Caity, we were having a bit of a chuckle in the chat, weren't we? Because the commentators completely, the two ladies that were commentating on the game completely dug him out when he tried to kind of run for a ball, didn't he? And he lost it and kind of got it caught up between his feet and then got dispossessed. They were like, they even said if he wants to start games, then he's going to have to do a bit better than that. And that is the case. He didn't, for me, I don't know what it is with him. Like Doumbia, just as, we've said, is he's got pace. He wants to chase things down, but Bio's come on and he just didn't want to chase anything down. He got dispossessed and then he just canters, just like lightly jogs across the pitch like he just can't be asked.
Yeah, especially considering he's coming back from being banned for 3 games. Surely you want to prove to the fans like you're sorry and you want to make them, be on your side again. You didn't even know that he was on the pitch. If I hadn't seen that he'd come on as a sub, I genuinely wouldn't have even noticed. He did nothing. And I understand the situation of the game was different, but for me, he was just so lazy, did nothing, no standout. So I was really disappointed by that little. I'm not sure how long he played. 20 minutes or?
It was only about 12 and then injury.
Yeah, I understand he's not going to score 5 goals, but you'd expect him to come on, be hungry. It's a derby game. Like, he showed none of that, and that's why I feel like just going forward, Doumbia does more. Even if he's not getting the goals, his whole round gameplay is so much better. The way that he wins the penalties, the way that he's chasing the ball down, the way he's bullying the defenders. Bio does literally none of that, and he's just useless.
Yeah.
Can I just jump in and say as well, Joe, that we put a snippet out because me and Ben discussed this on the Middlesbrough pod, and Ben was talking about how good Doumbia's been, and then we talked about who we'd want to start the derby, and we put the snippet out on Twitter, and I don't know if Ben's seen this, so this might be news to Ben, but he basically got called a fool for wanting Bio to
I remember
start.
that, yeah.
And
I had terrible sleep that night.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah. But, I mean, as if today wasn't any more evidence as to why Bayo shouldn't start. Caity thought he was on the pitch for fucking 20 minutes. He was only up for 10. So,
because I didn't even know because I genuinely just did not even notice that he was on the pitch.
That's how bad he is. He comes on and he drags time out. But I mean, I think the answer to that argument going forward has been answered. So we're
the fool now?
Short. Exactly, who's the fool now? So I just wanted to jump in on that because there were a lot of people that said, even though what we've seen from Doumbia has been brilliant, there's been a lot of people that said that they wanted Bayo to start that. And listen, each to their own opinion, but base it on football, like what you see him do on the pitch. It's so clear and obvious. We've sat on this pod and said when he made that switch for Doumbia and Vata in the previous weeks, we lose that urgency at the top of the pitch and we get pinned back. So if that's not an obvious sign, then what is? But yeah, I just had to mention that. So yeah. As you were.
Ian's right. I mean, I think we should start a GoFundMe for his Uber fare to back to Heathrow to get the plane, I think. But yeah, Cam, just a brief mention. It's only right that I come to you with this one. Ryan Andrews obviously came on at half-time today. I know you are.
Subscribers are falling as we speak.
I know you are Ryan Andrews' biggest fan. So what did you make of his second half performance when he came on today?
Look, I thought Tom Ince had a good game at right back for the second half. While Ryan Andrews was off in his own little world. Look, he came on. Doughty was quiet, but I mean, he got round him a few times when he came on. There wasn't too much to say about him, really. He didn't contribute too much, but didn't do an awful lot wrong. It was a fairly routine game for him. I mean, playing against one of the worst teams you're ever going to see, so you should hope he does all right. And yeah, look, I think the answer is still we stick with Ngakia, but it's only one game before Cleverley changes his mind and Andrews is back in. So who knows who's going to play there against Stoke?
Yeah, well, there's a period, there's a week, isn't there, in March where we've got Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. So I think there'll probably be a bit of a switch up with a few players. Then could be Bayo's chance coming in maybe for the Wednesday game there. Ben, just a quick mention. I know we kind of briefly mentioned Matty Pollock earlier on. It's just worth mentioning. Like, he came on, obviously, we did mention he did get booked, but he seemed to be a bit of a wind-up merchant, didn't he? For the Luton players, I think he was fully trying to maybe get someone booked, sent off, or what. But he was certainly leaving a little bit in on a couple of players, a few nudges here and there, and the referee had to speak to him a couple of times, which I thought was a bit of a risk considering he got booked quite early after coming on.
I think he absolutely loved it today. I think coming on at 2-0 up, I think he was enjoying the moment. There was a bit in the second half, and I think Cam was maybe a little bit too far away, and I'm at the front of the rookery, but we had the corner. It went into that near post because I think Chat took the corner. Of course, it went to the near post, and there was he tried to flip the ball up, and I think it hit Liam Walsh in the face, and Liam Walsh was holding the face on the floor, and you could hear Pollock just laughing at him and telling him to get up and to man up, and he was just walking away chuckling. I think I recorded it and I got it on my phone. But yeah, he was fully embracing the moment and enjoying it. And look, that's what you got to give. You got to give that back on Derby Day. He took a lot of stick at Kenilworth Road from them lot up the M1, and it was time for us to give it back. And look, we're all here for a bit of shithousery, and Matty Pollock enjoyed that moment today. And I love that he left one on that player as well and picked up the yellow card. But he just couldn't wait to get stuck into the action, could he? Really?
Yeah, I thought it was quite good from him. I mean, he clearly had a point to prove from coming on as a sub. Mike, just a brief mention on the on obviously the injuries. I don't know about you, but it was a little bit worrying just to see how many players. I mean, the commentators picked up on it, but there was so many players that were strapped up today and had like strapping on the thigh, the knee, around the legs and stuff. So there's clearly a few people that are carrying injuries at the moment. It's a little bit of a worry, isn't it, that it could actually spell a little bit of a disaster period for us, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not surprised either because of how threadbare the squad is. I mean, Loser at the end of the game was absolutely dying on his arse. I think he went down and it was literally a minute before the ref was going to blow his whistle. And I think Pollock went over and sort of said, "Look, you've not got long left. Like, just even walk it out if you can." They're all dying out on their feet, and that's why it's so good to see the performances, because that really does show that they're all playing for Tom. You know, it'd be so easy for them to be run ragged. It's a small squad, and they just down tools and they're injured. But yeah, I'm not surprised in the slightest. Of course, it's a worry because we haven't really got anyone in the wings waiting. Defence, yes, we're okay. You know, we've got Francisco Sierralta, we've got Matty Pollock, we got James Morris, who we saw today. Yeah, we got a Bonner as well. Yeah, he's in the wings waiting. But yeah, in that department, it's the midfield that worries me, because I think the next midfielder we've got after the ones on the pitch is Ramirez Espan.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see him. I think he's a great prospect, but he's not someone you want to be pinning your hopes on to sort of win your football matches and keep you in games. So, yeah, it is a worry. And if the strikers, you know, Dunbeer, I know he's maybe picked up a few niggles here and there. If he goes and we've only got Bio again, then, you know, it's Naby's harder, isn't it? So, yeah, worrying, but this is a championship. Hopefully, touch wood, there's nothing too bad, and we can scrape through the rest of the season and really push on for the playoffs.
Yeah. Just a quick thing, just to finish on. Obviously, you know, we've obviously we're really happy with 7 out of 12 points won out of the last 4 games. Just having a quick look at the table, we've got Millwall at home on the 8th. Around that, we've got Stoke in 19th, Swansea in 16th, Oxford in 18th, and Plymouth in 22nd. Out of those, that run of games for March, which I believe that's 5 games. How many points out of the 15 available do we think we are going to get? Cam?
Oh, look, I think we're on one of our best runs of the season performance-wise at the moment. Players are sort of coming back from injury, but we look like we've lost some key ones as well. So, sorry, did you say the next 4 games?
Next 5, so it takes up to Plymouth at the end of March.
Yeah, some very favourable games in there. I think we're going to follow this up with a drab defeat at Stoke. And then we'll go and win the next 3 and Plymouth will batter us. They'll re-sign Andre Gray or something. So I'm going to go 9 points.
9,
and I think I'll take that.
9. Ben?
15 points.
Ooh.
7 games on the trot.
Mike?
I was gutted when you asked me this, because I asked Ben this on the last pod and I can't remember what I said now. So the answers are probably going to differ. But after today, I think draw at Stoke, draw against Millwall, beat Swansea, draw at Oxford, and beat Plymouth. So what's that?
That's 9 points, 3 draws and 2 wins.
Yeah.
So I'm beating Caity.
I think 11 I think 11. Yeah. I think a win against Stoke, draw against Millwall, draw against Swansea, win against Oxford, win against Plymouth.
I think I'm going to say 12. I think there'll be 1 defeat in there, but I think we're going to win some games, because obviously after that it then gets a little bit tricky. We've got I think Bristol City, West Brom, Hull sandwiched in there, but Burnley as well. So there's 3 teams that are like in and around. Obviously,
I think as well, this is where it really starts shaping up, like for playoffs. You know, if you can drop off now, if we can keep the run up and stay up and in it, all it takes is to get into the April. If you're in a good position in April, whoever has the best run in April will basically get playoffs. If you can stay in and around it, I think that's generally what it's going to come down to.
And those last 5 are stinkers, by the way.
Yeah,
West
they're
Brom away,
hard.
Burnley at home, Portsmouth away, Blackburn away, and Sheffield Wednesday at home. I'm having flashbacks to that Sheffield Wednesday game in 2014-15. But yeah,
Could you imagine if we need to beat Sheffield Wednesday on the final day and it's 1-0 because we couldn't get a second goal against them again, and they do us in the 95th minute and we miss out on the playoffs? I think I'll give up on football.
Yeah, so would I.
Do you know what today's results meant for Watford? Basically, though, we're up to 48 points in the table. We basically secured our place in the Championship next season, whilst also relegating Luton Town.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
I'm happy with that.
Not a bad Sunday overall.
yeah, that's true. But just finishing up, got a couple of things I know Ben and Mike want to mention. Ben, you want to go first?
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, Joe. Just wanted to plug our Watford A to Z, which we started last week, a brand new series that we've all got involved in. It's basically we're all doing a Watford related topic relating to the letter of a week. Last week was letter A. Mike unfortunately won that one, so he's gone 1-0 up on the tally chart with his Alman Abdi. So it's basically all 5 of us have to pitch our topic the most and see who gets the most votes to win. We've already recorded letter B, which will be out Thursday morning 6 a.m. on all podcast platforms and YouTube. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that one. Won't give any spoilers yet on who won that one, but we'll also be recording maybe C and D this week as well to get them in the bag. But yeah, really light-hearted fun. It's been good fun. We've all really thoroughly enjoyed it as well. So you keep your eyes peeled on that, and I'll pass you over to Mike, who's got something to plug as well.
Yeah, I have, and it's not Cam's bitterness at me winning the letter A that I'm plugging.
I should have won that.
Yeah, well, Cam's not happy because of the way that the votes work. But if you turn up, mate, then yeah, it could have been interesting. Yeah, no, I am here to again be boring and clog your feeds about talking about the WD18 Cup. We got an email saying that we were close to the figure that we need to be at for the end of February, but we're not quite there yet. I don't think so. Any amounts that you can donate really would mean a lot. Me and Cam are currently in the middle of running 250 miles. It started on the 8th of Jan through to the 1st of May. And as of today, we are at 131.5 miles. Cam has put in 73.5 of those, and I've put in 58 of those. So that means that there's 118.5 left to do. Till we've pretty much got the full months of March and April to do that, so we should absolutely breeze it. We're hoping, we're looking. I'm not sure how all this would work, to be honest, but we'd like to do the last run together and it be sort of finishing at Vicarage Road Stadium. Not sure what the sort of logistics or dynamics of that would be, but keep your eyes peeled on that as well. But yeah, any amount that you can donate, the link is at the bottom. The link is also in our bio on Instagram as well. And if you message us on socials, whether it's individually or whether it's on the podcast page, then we'll fire the link over. But yeah, any more donations really would mean a lot, and it's going to 4 mental health charities as well, so it's going to really good causes. But yeah, thanks. That's pretty much it from my side, Joe.
Brilliant. Well, thank you ever so much, everyone, for tuning in this evening. The numbers have been fantastic, and as Mike mentioned in the chat earlier, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. You'll get obviously notified every time we go live. We want to get them subscribers up, and obviously if you have watched the video or do watch the video, please do hit that like button as well. Any comments as well that you want to leave after, obviously we do look back on them, so please leave any comments you want to as well. But yeah, obviously that's it from us. A fantastic 2-0 home win against the Scummers. Enjoy I don't know. I'm trying to think of a team. Maybe enjoy Northampton away next season. It was great seeing you at Big Ridge. Yeah, Wickham. Now I still think they might stay up. Come up. I mean, but yeah, I think Northampton's probably a safe bet. Yeah, thanks ever so much for tuning in, everyone, and we'll be back hopefully sometime maybe in the week with a Stoke preview potentially. If not, we'll be back for the review of the game next Sunday. But have a good evening, everybody. Enjoy and savour the 2-0 win, and come on, you Orns.